Okay, so let us start. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونتوب إليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله Salawatullahi wa salamuhu alaihi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsanin ila yaumiddin amma ba'du. Fassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. So alhamdulillah, this is our 7th session. And so far, we have discussed a lot about the topic about our course Islamic law on succession and inheritance. Just a quick recap. Last meeting we have discussed about the concept of legal succession, so both in Islamic law and also in the Code of Muslim Personal Laws. We have also discussed the settlement and partition of estate, and also the methods on the distribution of inheritance portion, how we divided it, how we do the taqsim at tarika, and also the derivation of the roots of the problem, the usulul masail, aslul mas'ala, and rules in determining the divisor, ta'sil. So basically that's how we we are now supposedly we're done with the theoretical aspect. So currently we are discussing the how to implement it, how to really divide the estate of the decedent. So how do we compute? So that's our current. So now we're on that part. So we also have discussed the doctrine of correction. So what we mean by correction here is the how to make it clear and simple or clear the divisor or the what we call aslul mas'ala when we are computing, when we are dividing, when we are partitioning the portions of shares of the heirs. So when we talk about aslul mas'ala, actually that's just the total portions. So after knowing all those who are able to inherit or eligible for the inheritance, we will now compute how much their portion in the estate that was left behind by the decedent. So basically, after adding up all the shares, you will come up with the total portions. That's the aslul mas'ala, which will be divided to each year. So alhamdulillah, for today, what if you by the way, if you have any questions on our previous sessions from the beginning to up to last week, you ask. We can discuss it if there's something that is not clear. We're almost at our midterms. I think we will do a midterms. Then maybe it will be the week after next week, inshallah. So if you have any questions or clarifications, something that is not clear, just ask. In our midterms, inshallah, we will not only on theoretical aspect, we will have cases, sample cases where you will determine the shares of the heirs who will inherit and what are their shares in the estate of the decedent. So today our topic for today, the topics for today are about the, let me share my screen, about the rules governing sharers, the ashabul furud. Actually, we have already discussed this. We have discussed most of this last meeting. So ashabul furud, they are the sharers. They are the ears with fixed shares. So there are total 12 Quranic ears, as mentioned. Then also the residuary ears, the Ashabul Mirat, the Asaba, then the distant kindred, the Ul Arham, and then rules on exclusion. So this is very important for us to properly divide, properly settle the estate, divide the estate. We need to identify who really is eligible for the inheritance. So there are some heirs that will be excluded. So you have to make sure that you're giving the heir, the correct heir, the correct heir, who is not excluded. Should not give a share to those who are excluded. Then the doctrine of increase, aul. So what we mean by doctrine of increase, the examples. Then the doctrine of reversion or rad. Okay. So inshallah, we will start with this, and we will have someone so who is ready to share with us his report. So sinong gusto mauna?
Sir, ready ako.
Oh, mashallah. Alhamdulillah. Always ready. Mashallah. Jazakillah khair. Palaging yung nagbe-break ng ice at saka ano. Alhamdulillah.
Pwede na ako mag-share, sir?
Yes, you can share. Full activated naman siya.
Okay, sir.
Alam ko, hindi ko pa na-enable. Si Sir Dimaro matagal lang absent.
Yes po sir, because of the incident na nangyari sa akin, ang problema kasi sir, aside from the accident, nagka-problema din between the families because ayaw bayad ng damages yung nakabangga sa akin.
Shafakallah. Alhamdulillah, ngayon okay na po ang pakiramdam?
Alhamdulillah. Kaso doon lumaki sir yung problema between the both families kasi pinuntahan ng mga relatives natin dito sa Lanao del Sur yung nagbangga sa akin na Red Innova.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Tapos dinala doon sa probinsya namin. Sabi ko, wag niyong ilagay sa kamay ninyo yung batas kasi mayroon tayong kaso nagawa na nila. Kaya matagal yung pag-negotiate ng mga relatives natin na middle doon sa both families kasi kamag-anak lang pala yung nakabangga.
Nas'alullah salamat al-afiyah. So alhamdulillah salamatika. So we thank Allah that you are safe, and we ask Allah to rectify our affairs and inshallah resolve all our problems. So we welcome you back and we missed you.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Maraming salamat sir. I hope you consider my absences and my lapses. Inshallah, I will do my best to submit all the requirements na hindi ko na-submit. And if you allow me by next meeting, I will report it all. Inshallah.
Yes. I am very confident that you can do it. Inshallah. So alhamdulillah. So welcome back. So yes, Miss Saber, you may start. And after you, maybe we will take a break kasi mag-grib na. Okay,
Opo, sir. Hinahanap ko. Hindi ko Ang may problema po itong aking laptop. I-download ko lang, sir, ha? Nasa Google Drive ko po. Wait.
No problem. You can download it.
Ano lang. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good afternoon, classmate. Good afternoon, sir. So ito po yung report ko for our assignment number 6. Parang hindi ko kayang ma-cover lahat po, sir, dahil medyo mahaba po yung assignment natin. So, namili po ako ng ibang mga important topics. So, what are the rules governing shares and residuaries? What are the rules of exclusion? What is the doctrine of increase and the doctrine of reversion? The rules governing shares and residuaries are the following. Source and notes. Sources, the Holy Quran, the Prophet tradition, the companions, interpretation and analogy, ijma, or the consensus. CMPL Article 110, who are the sharers, the husband, the wife, the father, mother, grandmother, daughter, son's daughter, full sisters, consanguine sister, uterine brother. Ashab ul furud, I will just be discussing part of it. From the word technical meaning is heirs whose inheritance are ordained by God in the Quran, referred to as the Quranic heirs. Ashab means companion. Dawul furud comes from the word dawi, from plural of du, which means one who gives command. Furud or faraid literally means ordinance from God. So there are different rules on the heirs, but I'll be concentrating on the husband, the wife, the father, and the mother only. The husband, the inheritance arise from a filial relationship. Ta'adud, i'at, sahab, and lineage. Ta'adud bil karaba. I'm sorry, sir, hindi ko alam kung tama ba yung pagbigkas ko. So, number one, as a rule, sharer, the husband gets 1/4 if he survived with child or legitimate child of descendant son. A sharer, 1/2 if survived without descendant. And as residuary, 1/2 of residue when husband is the first cousin, son of descendant's wife, uncle, if he is the only surviving heir, shall inherit to double inheritance from deceased wife. So the wife, on the other hand, again, wife inheritance arises from a filial relationship and lineage. A sharer, the wife gets 1/8 if she survived with child or legitimate child of descendant son, and a sharer 1/4 if survived without descendant. Here. Okay, and the rules for both the husband and wife, none exclude the other. So even if there is a presence of the children of the dissident, it cannot exclude the husband or the wife in the inheritance. Number two, their right to inherit never lapse. So, and number three, if there are issues, sharer or residuary, their shares is reduced to half the fixed one. And number four, they are not entitled to return or reversion. So, and the father, as a sharer, the father gets 1/6 if he survived with legitimate son or son of descendant son. Okay, and a sharer 1/6 if survived with legitimate daughter or daughter of descendant son, and as residuary, residue pertains to the father if he is the only surviving heir. 1/3 to the mother, and the rest goes to the father already. So the rule is the father is never completely exclude, rather he exclude the others. So, and the mother, as a sharer, she gets 1/6 if she survived with child or child of descendant son, or 2 or more brothers or sisters. And as a sharer again, she received 1/3 if she survived without descendant o without descendant, walang anak, or with only one brother or sisters. As residuary, 1/3 if she succeed together with descendant spouse. So the rule is mother is never excluded from inheritance of deceased child. So even if may anak din yung dissident, so hindi mawawala ng mana po yung mother. So, table of Quranic shares, medyo dinownload ko lang din po ito, hindi ko na nire-write. So again, husband 1/4, widow 1/8, father 1/6, and the rest as we have been discussing in the past. So the presence of children will determine the share of the heirs. So for example, for the husband, if with children, sharing with children, so he will get 1/4. If the wife died without children, they don't have any children, therefore the husband will get 1/2 of the estate. Okay, rules of exclusion. Rules of exclusion is embodied in Article 123. Exclusion among heirs. Number 1, in the same line, the relative nearest in degree exclude the more remote. Number 2, full blood relatives exclude the consanguine and the uterine. Whoever is related to the decedent through any person shall not inherit while the latter is living, except in the case of a mother concurring with her children. Heirs who in particular case do not succeed by reason of disqualification on any ground shall not exclude others. Under the Muslim law, the more generally accepted rule on the priorities of preference of heirs is the so-called Al-Jabari rule. Thus, the right of succession proceeds in the following order. First, to the order of line relationship. Next, to the degree of relationship. Third, to the strength of a blood relationship on the basis of blood tie. Okay. It's worth to note that husband, wife, son, daughter, father, and mother are never excluded. So when we compute the inheritance, even if with the presence of other relatives, we must remember that husband, wife, son, daughter, father, and mother are never excluded. So to discuss the first to the order of priority, descendant is preferred over ascendant. So yung mga anak mas preferred kesa sa magulang. So ascendant is preferred over collateral relatives. Yung tatay, nanay, yung magulang ay mas preferred naman kesa dun sa mga kapatid. Second, to the degree. In the same line, the relatives nearest in degree exclude the more remote. There is no right of representation where an heir predeceased the decedent. The example here is, for example, degree. Yung kapatid mo, ikaw, kunyari, ikaw yung namatay and then yung tatay mo, so yung ascendant mo yon. Tapos may anak siya, so ibig sabihin may kapatid ka. So that's first degree. Tama po ba yan, sir? First degree po, ano po? Tapos po, kung may anak pa yon, so mas yung balik kapatid mo ang mas nearer in degree sa'yo kesa doon sa anak niya. Tapos, in case po na there's no right of representation where an heir predeceased the decedent, so for example, yung kapatid mo namatay una sa'yo, yung kanyang anak ay walang right of representation, hindi papalit doon sa sapatos ng tatay niya para magmana po sa'yo. So to the strength of blood tie, in case where the order and degree are equal, a full blood is to be preferred. For example, puro kapatid mo sa ama, kapatid mo sa ina, tapos yung isa tunay mong kapatid. So yung tunay mong kapatid ang mas preferred. Yan, full brother excludes consanguine brother, but brother's son will be excluded by a consanguine brother. So, and fourth, whoever is related to the decedent through any person shall not inherit while the latter is living. But uterine brother and sisters are not excluded by the mother. In this case, through a person shall not inherit while the latter is living. Sir, example, a father exclude the grandfather, uncles and aunts. Son exclude his sons. Mother exclude her mother, mother's mother. A son exclude son of a predeceased son, sons, and so on. And the fifth is heirs who do not succeed by reason of disqualification on any ground shall not exclude the others. For example, a wife due to difference in relationship shall not marry, shall not inherit from the deceased husband, but the children, tama po ba yun, sir? Sorry po, nakita. But the children, will inherit from their deceased father.
This dun lang sa second degree, no? I think this is very important. Rules of exclusion, you should master this. I urge you all to really study this properly. So there's really a question there in the Article 123 actually. The statement, the provision that that provision provides that the full blood relative is where is that? The full blood excludes the uterine, the consanguine and uterine. So actually, paragraph 2.
Yes, sir.
The problem there is the full blood. This is not in detail. No? This is true in other cases. For example, maybe there are no brothers or uncles, etc. But if we're talking about brothers and sisters or siblings, full blood relatives, full blood brother and sister actually don't exclude uterine brothers and sisters, because as we have mentioned, uterine brothers and sisters, they have fixed share. They have fixed share. Then on the next slide, this one is very detailed. So I think the first order of priority is clear. Descendant is preferred over ascendant. Ascendant is preferred over collateral relatives. So that's clear. The second rule, degree. So we give an example. Actually, it's related to the fourth. So we can give an example on the line. So if you're in the ascendant line, so the nearer to the descendant exclude the more remote. So we give an example, the father exclude the grandfather. So both of them are in the ascendant line. So the more the nearer is the father, and the grandfather is more remote than the father. That's why father, if father is alive, the father exclude the grandfather. So I hope that's clear. Then also I think everything has been. I hope this one, the rules of exclusion, you master this. So this is very clear. So you may proceed.
Yes, sir. So the doctrine of increase and doctrine of reversion, doctrine of increase or al-ul. Ul literally means increase. Is the owl. It literally means increase is a process whereby the totality of the shares of all the sharers, ashab ul-furud, exceeds the whole inheritance, reducing the value of each share proportionately so as to increase unit shares in order to make the whole units when added up equal to the net estate. It is called Mimbaria doctrine because it was answered by Hasrat Ali when he was in the Mimbar pulpit. The doctrine of increase applies when the sum total of the fractions to which several sharers are entitled exceeds unity and the denominator fail to admit the shares. In such situations, the common denominator of the fractions is increased to the total of all numerators. The numerators left unchanged, thereby each share is proportionately reduced. So this is embodied in Article 129, the reduction of shares. If the totality of all the shares, sorry sir, di ko makita. If the totality of all the shares
assigned to each of the
each
shares.
of the sharers exceed the whole inheritance, the sharers, sorry sir, di ko makita.
Shall be reduced proportionately.
Yes, shall be reduced proportionately. Apo, sir. Okay, doctrine here's the problem. For example, the husband A died, leaving behind his widowed wife, his 2 daughters, and his father and mother who are entitled to the following shares from estate of A. The root of the problem here is 24. 3 times 8 equals 24. Applying the doctrine of takalkuf itawafuk. Since the totality of the share exceed by 3, the numerator 24, thereof apply the doctrine of increased 9. Awul, by increasing the denominator from 24 to 27. And as a consequence, the shares of the sharers are reduced proportionately so that the totality of the estate is equitably distributed and shared by them. Here I made a table and an example. I don't know if it's correct, sir. For example, the heirs here, the wife, 2 daughters, the father, the mother. The shares of the wife is 1/8, and the shares of 2 daughters, because they're 2, maximum 2/3. So the father is 1/6 and 1/6 for the mother. The common denominator here is 24 because it's divisible by all are divisible by 24. Okay. We divide the denominator to 24. So 24 divided by 8, so it will be 3. So 3 over 24. So 24 divided by 3, it will be because
right.
sorry po.
That's right. 24 divided by 3 is 8. Then you multiply it with the numerator. It will be 16.
Yes, sir. 16 and then 24, and then divide the denominator to 24. So 24 divided by 6, that's 4. So say both father and the mother have the same numerator. So now the total number is paano ba ito matataas?
The total numerator is 27. So it exceeds the 24 by 3. So naging 27 over 24. So sobra siya, di ba?
Sobra po ng 3. Opo, sir. So in this case po, ito po sa second to the last column, how we apply we increase denominator to 27. So yung 3 over 24 magiging 3 over 27, yung 16 over 24 magiging 16 over 27, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I have here on this table shares from net estate of 100,000 before awol. For example, 3 over 24 of 100,000 is 12,500. And 16 over 24 of 100,000 is 66,600. And 4/24 of 100,000 is 16,000. And for the mother, the same. So makikita niyo, sir, may sobra siya doon sa 100,000 na net estate. Naging 112,500 po siya. So kailangan po nating i-apply yung itong doctrine of increase. So i-increase po natin yung denominator sa 27 instead na 24. So, dali po, sir. Sir, di ko makita yung dali.
Yes. Mangyari,
Okay.
no? Proportionately, magdi-decrease, marireduce yung kanilang mga shares.
Po, marireduce po yung shares kasi po ang denominator is 27 na. So ngayon po i-compute po natin, for example, the share is the net estate is 100,000. So 3/27 instead na 12,500 magiging 11,000 something na lang, and 66,000 magiging 59 na lang. So pag tinotal mo po yan, magiging tama po siya, 100,000 na po. So tama na po yung shares po nila doon sa net estate na naiwan ng dissident sa kanila, sir. Tama po ba, sir?
Yes, tama.
Yes, sir.
Mashallah.
Yes, sir. So, and then the doctrine of return on the other hand, or doctrine of return, ra'ad or al-tasib, is the law of rad.
Double D, rad.
Apo, rad. Or al-tasib in the law of inheritance is applied when the total of the shares does not exhaust the whole estate. The residue shall revert to the heirs, sharers, or the residuary who are entitled to it. The Arabic word rad literally means return. In the Muslim law on succession, rad is the process whereby when after giving the fixed shares as have all furud their shares, residue is left in the inheritance and there is no residuary heir to receive it. Ito naman yung kabaliktaran ng doctrine of increase. So yun naman, sobra naman yung shares nila. Ito naman po, kulang, may ibig sabihin nag-exceed yung sa kabila. Dito naman po ay may sumobra pa doon sa mamanahin nila. Instead, yan po. This is embodied in Article 130, reversion of residue. If after distributing the portions of the sharers, a residue is left in the inheritance and there is no surviving residuary heir, the same shall revert in its entirety. So ibabalik po siya muna to the loan sharer or to all the sharers in proportion to their respective shares. So parang ibabalik mo na, bawiin mo na lahat po yung shares, tapos i-compute na po ulit. So however, the husband or the wife shall not be entitled to any part of the reverted portion as long as there are other sharers or distant kindred. So yung sa husband and the wife, yun lang po ang hindi babawiin para po i-recompute po ulit. So there are 8 heirs entitled to return: the mother, grandmother, daughter, son's daughter, full sister, consanguine sister, and uterine sister. So rad takes place when all the sharers are persons to whom a return may be made. The surplus drops and the extractor is reduced to the aggregate of shares. The rules are: number 1, the residue shall return entirely to the loan sharer. If there is only one, but if there are more, to all of them in proportion to their respective share. So parang ibibigay rin lang din sa kanya ng buo kasi nag-iisa lang naman din siya. But kung may marami, so yung proportionate share nila, i-divide pa rin. Kunyari may sobrang 50,000, yung 50,000 i-divide dun sa shares. Kung ilang shares, for example, yung share ng nanay, entitled siya sa 1/6. So yung share ng 1/6 ng 50,000 ibibigay din sa kanya, sa nanay, kasi yun yung sumobra naman. So the decedent surviving husband or wife, as the case may be, shall not be entitled to any part of the reverted portion as long as there are other sharers who are entitled to return or distant kindred. Number 3, the number to which the extractors may be reduced are 4. That is 2, 3, 4, or 5. And to go about it, it is done by reducing the fractional shares to common denominator so as to make it equal to the sum total of the numerators. So I have here an illustration. Reduction, I only use the reduction by 2. The grandmother and half-sister by the mother. So both entitled to 1/6. And the remainder reverts to them in proportion to their shares. The original division of the case, which was into the 6th part, is thus reduced to 2. And each part takes half. So the problem here, person died leaving a grandmother and the uterine sister as the only heirs. Fractional share is both 1/6. The root of the problem is number 6. So I don't know kung tama po yung understanding ko rito, sir. I have here the table, the grandmother, uterine sister. So both of them have 1/6. Sir, parang ang understanding ko dito kasi yung residue po. Kaya lang po, kaya sila lang po dalawa yung heirs. Sila na lang po yung natirang, sila po yung heirs, wala na po yung ibang heirs. But still, 1/6, paano ko ba papaliwanag po ito? So,
Yes.
yung parang,
You got it correctly actually. 6.
okay,
So that's the root of the problem, 6. So if you divide 6 divided by 6, so 1. So they will actually get 1/6, 1/6. So it's that's 2/6 actually. 2/6. So etong nakasulat lang sa'yo dito, ginawa mong 4/6 which is dapat 2/6 to.
2. Yeah, 2
So
over 6.
yung 2/6, ang gagawin daw sa doctrine of reversion sa RAD is that yung numerator mo ay ganun na yun ang gagawin mong denominator para maging maging equal kasi ito parehas, wala naman dito yung spouses. Ang medyo complicated lang na computation ay pag may the existence of a spouse, no, husband or wife, kasi hindi sila entitled sa RAD. So
Yes, sir.
instead of dividing the net estate by 6, kasi 2/6, no? So you divide it by 2 kasi yun ang total, yun ang numerator. So ang ginawa mo, naging numerator and denominator mo ay parehas 2. So 2/2. So yun ang mangyayari. So instead of dividing it by 6, you divide it by 2. So after that, you multiply it with their share. So parang kalahati, 1/2 ang mangyayari.
Yes, sir. So, return and final shares, 2 share plus 1 share equals 3 share ang mapupunta kay grandmother kasi ang, and then for the uterine sister is the same, 2 share kasi silang dalawa na lang po yung heirs na natira. So, may example ko po, yung net estate is 100,000. So, 1/6 po yung kanyang original share. So, that's 16,606. And for the uterine sister also 16,000. So ang total lang po nun ay 33,333. So may natira pa po kasi 100,000 po yung kanilang dapat manahin. So may return po, may ibibigay pa sa kanila. So yung 33,000 po na so ang pag inilas mo yung 100,000 sa 33, that's 66,668. So, since dinivide po natin, may shares po sila na tigda-dalawa. So, yung 16,000, pag minultiply mo by 2, so, yung 1,616, 1/3 po iyon. So, 2 shares po yun. So, 33,000. So, pag inad mo po ito, yung 1/6 niya, which is the original shares niya, at saka yung return po, so, na 2 shares, so 33,000. Pag inad mo po yan dalawa is 50,000. Ganon din po yung for the uterine sister. So may 1 share sila which is 16,000. Tapos yung 2 shares na nakuha nila kasi dinivide sa kanila yung natitira. So may 33,000 din siya. So pag inad po tong dalawang figure na to, yung mana niya na makukuha 50,000 din po. So total po nung kanilang mamanahin is 100,000. So tama lang po doon sa net estate. Tama po ba, sir, yung understand?
Tama. Actually, tama yan. No? Medyo mas inano mo pa, no? In detail yung pagsagot mo. So tama, pero tama naman yung computation. No? Kasi ang ginawa mo, yung mga natitirang share na residue, which is 4/6, na shares, no? So apat na shares. So hinati mo sa kanila tigda dalawang share. So tama 'yan, no? So yung yun nga ang shortcut noon, as we have said, pag nakuha nyo na yung ano nila, total nila na share. For example, yun nga itong example na to. So 2/6 yan kasi yung grandmother 1/6, yung uterine sister 1/6. So 2/6. So instead of dividing kasi the two of them are qualified to the RAD. So instead of dividing the net estate by 6, you divide it directly with 2 and you give each of them their particular share. Please proceed.
Okay, so thank you. Opo. So may two personal reflection or highlight. Hindi madami kasi sir, hindi ko na ma-cover lahat. The four schools argue in favor of the validity of a will and the reduction of all the sharers by citing the precedent of a woman who died during the reign of the second caliph Omar, leaving behind a husband and two agnate sisters. The caliph gathered the companions and said, the shares determined by God for the husband and the two sisters are half and 2/3 respectively. Now, if I start with the husband's share, the 2/3 will not remain for the two sisters. And if I start with the two sisters, the half will not remain for the husband. So it means when this issue arises, the matter was referred to the Sahaba and a majority consensus arrived adopting the doctrine of increase a will in order to remedy the situation. This is the 2, 3, 4 rules on dividing dividing the rule on the sorry po ba yan? The rule on the reversion, sir. And number two, the doctrine of increase is a technical expression used by the Sunni lawyers to signify a proportionate increase in the common divisor for the purpose of yielding the requisite number of shares. The technique is to reduce the respective shares of each sharer. And a very important point, the Holy Quran provides for the basic principles of inheritance. The Prophet and companions explain and interpret it. The consensus of Ijma and the adoption of PD 1083 completes the application of doctrine of increase and reversion, especially in our jurisdiction, sir. Thank you very much. Yun lang po, sir, yung report ko.
Okay, thank you very much. Clear, and I hope that everyone have benefited with the report, and I hope that you have understood the important topics discussed by Isabel. So if you take a look, the three topics, exclusion, OWL, and RAD, these are three important topics that each of you should master. Anyway, further discussion and examples on cases, maybe some of the reporters later will have examples. So we will take a break, and if you have questions, just write it in our chat box. So we'll take a break first for Maghrib prayer here in the Philippines. So I think 20 minutes, we will return. So, Assalamu alaikum. Okay. Assalamualaikum. Nakabalik na bang lahat? Napag-kape? Napag-break?
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, so alhamdulillah, no? So I hope naintindihan natin, no? We have learned from the discussion of Ma'am Saber. So now the next reporter, I think Ustad Mulan being volunteered to go next.
Assalamualaikum.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. تفضل يا شيخنا.
Okay. I-share ko na lang yung report slides ko.
Yes. Enabled na yung share screen.
Okay. Getting ready pa siya. Di pa siya share?
Di pa nag-appear. Hintayin lang natin.
Di pa.
Baka,
Bali, parang mahina ang internet namin dito sa Marawi.
wait
Sana
lang yan.
makapag
Share screen. Siguro pwedeng off na lang lahat tayo ng camera. Yan, para
Sure.
baka makatulong. Baka makatulong sa mo, internet mo.
Wala pa rin ho.
Kung hindi mo pwedeng ako mag-screen share. Send mo sa akin sa Messenger para ako na lang magbukas dito. Kung kaya. Kung hindi dito sa chat ng Zoom. Ako mag-open at screen share.
Ayaw talaga. Ayun. Sige. Ito na. Ayun.
Ayun.
Ayan.
Lumabas. Mo lang. Landscape mo lang.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Absent ako nung nakaraan. Hindi po ako nakapag-report. Kaya yung importante nung nakaraan, i-report ko ngayon. Tapos yung topic natin ngayon ay hinati ko rin para magkasya yung oras, hindi mahaba. Dito muna tayo mag-umpisa sa doctrine of correction, tasdil al-masala. The doctrine of correction generally rule in solving problem in succession is that the distribution of the descendants is state of among his heirs shall not incur any fraction or problem. This doctrine of correction in case whereby upon examining the portion of all heirs in groups, and so happen that allotted portions cannot be distributed proportionately to the heirs in groups per capita. In this case, resolution of the contradiction of the two numbers allotted portion and numbers of heads is required. This law must be careful in using the doctrine of correction because the presence of group of the heirs in a case does not necessarily warrant the use of this doctrine. The doctrine of correction was devised by Sunni lawyer and expert in the law of inheritance to resolve the contradiction in case and confirm the appointed shares that have been prescribed in the Quran. Another important aspect of this doctrine is the rule on the use of juz al-siham in different cases as illustrated in succeeding section. The rule of deriving juz as-siham has no standard definition in the available literature on Islamic law. There is only a handful of scholars of the law, including Alawiya. Juz as-siham refer to the derived number used to correct the root of the problem and the portion allotted to heirs in case that require the doctrine of correction. This is used in the rectification of the solution in order to avoid the decimal points or broken number in the distribution of inheritance. The observing following example of cases with the presence of the group, magbibigay tayo ng sample. Halimbawa lamang sa isang group na ito, when the list of heirs in case include one group as residuary heirs, wife, descendants, two or more brother and sister, kasama na dito yung whether uterine, consanguine, or german. In case of two or more true grandmother, observe the following rules, derive the juz as-siham. Halimbawa na lamang the case a person dies, leaving 5 daughters, father and mother, he left a net estate worth of 120,000, and then we solve the problem. So first, the relation in the two number, allow the portion of the heirs in a group and the number of the head. Halimbawa, yung 5 daughters. The doctrine of correction and juz as-siham are required when the allotted portion of heirs in the group cannot be divided by their number of head proportionately. Correct the solution by taking number of heads of their in group as juz as-siham. Ilalagay natin yung sa itaas. Then, the juz as-siham multiply this number with the RP, root of the problem, and for all the heirs to get the CRP in corrected portion. RP and juz as-siham, 6 times 5, at makukuha natin dito yung CRP, yung 30. Sa pangalima naman, use the CRP to divide the next order to get amount of the portion. Ibababa natin yung 30, 120,000 divided by 30, makukuha natin din yun for 4,000. At bago yun, kukunin muna natin yung multiply the amount of the one portion to all the corrected portion in order to get the net share. So yung 4 times 5, yung 5 dito makukuha, ita-times natin dito sa portion ng itong 6 by 6. Ano ba tawag dito? Sige. Yung juz as-siham, ibabada ba natin dito? 4 times 5. Result nun is 20. 20 times 4,000. Kalalabasan nun yung 80,000. Ganon din yung sa father, makakuha siya ng 20,000. Ganon din yung mother, 20,000. Ganito lamang yung pagre-resolve ng juz as-siham. Another example naman, makuha sa two group, examine the relationship between the two number in the two group, allotted portion for their heirs in the group and number of their heads. Allotted number for wives and daughters. So the doctrine of correction and juz as-siham acquired when allotted portion for the heirs in the group to be divided by the number of heads. Correct the solution by multiplying the two number, the number of heads in the two group, wives and the daughter. 4 times 3, kalalabasan nun is 12. Then multiply the juz as-siham with the RP para makuha natin portion for all their both individual and group to get the CRP corrected portion. Train RP at juz as-siham, 24 times 12, makukuha natin yung CRP, 288. Then use the CRP 288 to divide it by 576,000 in order to get the amount one portion. Makukuha na dito yung 2,000 na amount. Ngayon, ita-times na i-multiply lang, ita-times lang natin dito sa mga heirs. Makikita natin dito. At ito, ganito lang manghuyan. Para maintindihan. Dito sa Judges Ham, ibababa lang natin dito sa portion. Sa 3 times 12, kalalabasan nun is 36. Kukunin natin yung net state na nakinuwenta natin kanina. 36 times 2,000, kalalabasan nun is 72,000. I-divide natin yun sa 4 wives. Each wives ay makaka-receive ng 18,000. Ganun din sa 3 daughters, 16 times 12, makalalabasan nun is 192. Ta-times din yun sa 2,000 at a total of 384,000. Nagkakamali ako. Divided by 3 daughters. Each daughters ay makakuha sila ng 128,000. Ganun din sa 5 German sister. 5 times 12, kalalabasan nun ay 60. Times din yun sa 2,000 at magiging resulta nun is 120,000 divided by 5 German sister. Each German sister makaka-inherit sila ng 24,000. So, ganun din yung sa 3 groups. Nagtawa. Dito naman tayo sa rules in deriving the roots of the problem. Kailangan natin malaman in resolving cases and the derivation of the root of the problem, bear in mind the definition and rules required from among these 4 numbers, such as the tabathul, equal number, the tadakhul, proportionate numbers, and tawafuk, composite numbers, and tabayun. Titignan natin dito at magbibigay tayo ng halimbawa. Paano natin makukuha yung mayroon tong rules ang itong equal number at tamathul? The rules is to use the same number, the denominator, as the very root of the problem, RP. In order to derive the portion of the heirs based on their fixed or appointed share. This is also apply in cases where there is only one specified share from among the surviving heirs. Ito, pinakamadali sa lahat na equal number at tamathul. Sumunod naman ang tadakhul, proportionate number. At tadakhul is when the number of the denominator of fixed or appointed share are unequal but are proportionate to each another in terms of the ratio, and the bigger number is divisible by the smaller number without any remainder of or fraction at all. Halimbawa lamang yung 1/8 and 1/4 with 1/8. Ganon din yung 1/3, 2/3 with 1/6. Halimbawa na lamang nito. Titignan natin yung never mind na lang yung naka-red na naka-circle. Titignan natin dito yung rules. The rules is to use the biggest number denominator. Saan yung biggest number denominator? From among the fixed or appointed share of heirs as very root of the problem. Dito sa shares, makikita natin yung pinaka-biggest number denominator at gagawin natin siyang RP. Yun yung 6. In order to divide the portion of the heir based on their fixed or appointed share. Ganyan lamang. Sumunod naman yung composite number at tawafuk. means agreement of two number composite number is one that can be divided by some number another than itself without remainder. These two number cannot be divided by each other, but they can divided by a third number another than one. Halimbawa lamang 6 with 8, which can both divided by 2. Any two number which can both divided by another number are said to be in agreement, mutawafiqan or composite. Itong at tawafuk, the rules, makikita natin dito yung rules. The rules is to find the least common multiple LCM, the denominator of fixture of errors as a root of the problem. Example lamang ng LCM of 1/4 and 6. 1/4 with 1/6 is 12. Dito naman, the LCM of 1/6 and 1/8 is 24. Yung RP niya, 24. Sana maliwanag na yun. At mamaya may ibibigay ko sa inyo ng mga paano natin makukuha yung RP. So naman, yung contradictory number at tabay yun means the difference of two number with third number serve as a common divisor between them. The two number cannot be divided by each other. They are not in agreement as they cannot even be equally or exactly divided by another number. Halimbawa lamang 3 with 8, 4, and 7. At titignan natin dito sa halimbawa dito, the rules, paano natin makikita yung least common multiple LCM of the denominator of the fixture or appointed as root of the problem. Halimbawa lamang ng LCM of 1/3 with 1/4 is 12. Pero dito, the LCM of 1/3 and 1/8 is 24. Dito naman tayo sa doctrine of increase or awl. The awl was made by ijma of the companion of the Prophet Muhammad during the time of Caliph Umar, suggested by Zayd bin Thabit on the case of the death of wife leaving her husband and two German sisters. Under Article 129 of the Code of Muslim Personal Law, state that if the totality of the all share assigned to each of the sharers exceed the whole inheritance, the share shall be reduced proportionately. Yan. Halimbawa lamang ng doctrine of increase ng pag-solve ng problem. Papaliwanag natin. The application of the doctrine of increase. Increase does not mean we increase the net state or mirat. The term increase means only increase the number of portions or partitions of the net state. Indicate in that increase the root of the problem, IRP, from the original root of the problem. When the doctrine of increase is applied, the amount of net state remains the same, but we automatically increase the root of the problem that decrease the share of each of the heirs. The doctrine of increase is commonly applied in the present of spouses in the case of two or more wives. Halimbawa lamang dito, the application of doctrine na makikita natin dito, medyo magkalapit lamang pero hindi nababago yung nature. Ano natin ito ma-apply? Una, examine the relationship between the total portion of the heir and the RP. The total portion is husband, share niya doon, one half is 3 portion. Two German sister, portion niya is 4. doon makikita natin yung RP niya. Hindi magkapantay. 7, 6. So, if the total portion exceeds the RP, the application of the doctrine of increase is required. Dahil 7, 6, nakikita natin dito, hindi magkapantay. Make an increased root of the problem IRP by increasing the amount of RP equaling the total portion. Yung RP ay gagawin nating IRP na 7 para magka-balance. Halimbawa rito, use the IRP to divide the net state in order to get the amount portion. Baba natin yung 7, i-divide sa 1,400,000. Then 400,000 divide IRP na 7, kalalabasan yon is 200,000. At dito natin i-multiply sa IRP na katapat ng portion. At ito ang kalalabasan. Ito. Yung husband ay makaka-inherit siya worth of 600,000. The two German sister ay each of them ay makaka-inherit ng 400,000. The total of 400,000, the total of 800,000. Sumunod naman, ito yung without correction. Without correction to. Sumunod naman, with correction. In case the doctrine of correction is required, magkaiba to magkaiba to ng case 1. Tapos ito naman tayo, without correction to. Ito with correction. Sa rules number 5, in case the doctrine of correction is required due the contradiction of two number, multiply the GCM with the IRP in order to get the corrected increased root of the problem. The following the rules of the doctrine of correction ay makikita natin yung 3 German sisters na kailangan na magkaroon ng GCM. GCM at IRP 7 times 3, kakalabasan nun ay 21. CIRP para makuha natin yun. At i-divide natin ang 21 sa state worth of 420,021. At kalalabasan nun, i-divide natin lamang yun, kalalabasan ng 20,001. Then, ilalagay natin yun sa corrected portion. 9 times 20,001, husband ay makaka-receive siya ng 180,009. Sa bawat 3 German sister ay makaka-inherit sila ng 80,004. This is with correction at ito naman without correction. Sumunod naman, the divisor that cannot be increased. That cannot be increased are 4, ito yung 2, 3, 4, and 8. In the case of 2, when the wife dies, leaving the husband 1/2 and full sister is 1/2, or consanguine sister is 1/2, the divisor or ROP is 2. In the case of 3, when the person X die, leaving father ay magiging residue, and mother 1/3, the divisor or ROP is 3. In the case of 4, when the husband dies, leaving the wife 1/4, full brother and full sister residue 2:1. The divisor or ROP is 4. In the case of 8, when the husband dies, leaving the wife 1/8. The daughter 1 half the full sister or consanguine residue, the divisor is 8. The divisor that can be increased, 6 can be increased by 1, 2, 3, and 4 only. Halimbawa, yung 7, 8, 9, and 10, at wala nang kasunod pa. At yung 12 can be increased by 1, 3, and 5 only. Odd numbers are no more. 24 then, 24 can be increased by 3 only. And no more. Sumunod naman, nandito naman tayo sa ating topic na doctrine of reversion, RAD. RAD means return and technically means the reduction of divisor in the problem, the increase of the value of the share of the heirs. The doctrine of RAD applies when after allocation of shares among the heirs when fixed shares there is a residue and there is no residuary heirs to inherit this residue. The law practitioner often argue that the doctrine of the RAD is the opposite of the doctrine of increase, al-awl, in the term of how the problem involving the two doctrines are computed. This argument may not be true at some point, especially when the doctrine of reversion has 4 kinds, while the doctrine of increase is monotonous. This major difference lies in the third and fourth kind of RAD as shown in the succeeding illustrative example. Natin bibigay tayo ng example. Under the Code of Muslim Personal Law, provide that if after distributing the portion of the sharers, the residue is the left in the inheritance and there is no surviving residuary here, the same shall revert in its entirety to the loan sharer or to the sharers in proportion to the respective sharers. However, the husband and the wife shall not be entitled to any part of the reverted portion as long as there are another sharer or distant country. In explaining Alawiya that there are 3 essential requisites before reversion of the residue can be made. The doctrine of RAD can only be applied upon fulfillment of this essential requisite. Availability of the residue after the distribution of the share. Pangalawa, non-existence of the residuary heirs during the death of the decedent. Sumunod, existing of sharers during the death of the decedent. With regard to a third essential requisite, there are only selected sharers who may inherit the residue upon application of the doctrine of RAD, such as daughter, son's daughter, mother, true grandmother, German sister, consanguine sister, uterine sister, and uterine brother. Another sharer are not entitled to residue as long as above-mentioned sharers are available during the death of the decedent. The heirs to whom reversion of the residue cannot be made are the spouses and husband and wife, because the relation to deceased is by virtue by marriage, which relation is preservable by death, as well as the true grandfather. Each of them receive his prescribed share, and if there is residue, it is to be reverted to the another sharers mentioned above. The rule of reversion or RAD. The version RAD is divided into 4 kinds, and each one has its own procedures. First kind, the reversion where the surviving heirs are only entitled to 1 share and none of the spouses inherit with them. In this case, the inheritance almirath is divided among the per capita. Halimbawa lamang na only one group of share are without spouses. Halimbawa lamang na solve yung problem nito, a person dies leaving 2 daughter, he left net state worth of 2,020 2020. 200,000, paano ba to? Hindi ko makita. Labo ng mata ko.
220,000.
220,000. Oh, two daughters, ang share nito is 2/3, the portion of 2. The root of the problem is 3. Ngayon, hindi pantay. Magkakaroon natin ng RP, gagamitin natin yung rod. Magiging 2. 2, para makuha natin yung share ng bawat isa, 2 divided by 220,000, kalalabasan nun is 110, 100,010. At makukuha ng bawat each daughter is 100, ano ba to? 100,000.
110,000.
110,000. Sumunod naman, another example, tignan na lang natin. Ito naman yung two group of share but the same share are without spouses naman po. Ayun lang. The second kind, the reversion where surviving heirs are entitled to different share and none of spouses inherit with them. In this case, the inheritance almirats is divided on the basis of the portion given to the heirs and not on the basis of the number of their heads. The rule is the inheritance is divided on the basis the portion given to the heirs and not on the basis of the number of their heirs. Example lamang ng problem, the two group of share having different share with a spouse. Ito po. Yung RP dito is 6. Bali, yung portion, 1 sa mother, and uterine brother is 2. Ngayon, hindi pantay. Ngayon, gagawin natin, magkakaroon ng RPR. Gagawin natin siyang 3 para maging kapantay dito. Ayan. Sumunod naman yung third kind. Reversion where the surviving heirs are only entitled to one share. The only of spouses inherit with them. The rule is the divisor in the problem must be based on the share of an heir to whom reversion of the residue cannot be made spouse, and then the divide the residue to them per capita. Yun. Bali yung kanilang RP is 24. The portion is 3 and 16, 3 sa wife at 16 sa 7 daughter. Ngayon, 19, 24. Bali, hindi sila pantay. Ngayon, gagamitin natin yung RPR na mula sa wife na denominator ng wife is 8. Portion nito is 1 sa wife, 7 sa daughter. Bali, 8. Nagpantay na sila. Ganyan lang po. Another example na merong Jesus si Ham. Hindi ko na rin papaliwanag. Tignan na lang natin. So, sumunod naman, the reversion where the surviving heirs are entitled to different shares and one of spouses and concur with them. The rule in this situation, we have two problems in one. First, one of the spouses is not included as an heir. This is identified as case of reversion. Second, one of the spouses included as an heir. Ito po. Bali, itong RPR na nakikita natin sa taas ay kinuha dito sa wife, denominator ng wife ng 1/4. Yung 4 doon, ilalagay doon. Yan yung po isa sa para ito po yung one of the spouses included as an heir. Ito naman yung excluded the spouse or wife, tinanggal siya. Bali, the fourth kind, one of the spouses excluded as an heir, bali, RP niya ay 6, 1 portion to true grandmother, and 2 portion to 2 uterine sister. Bali, 1 portion, yung mangyayari doon is RPR, 3, the portion niya is 1, 2, naging pantay na ho siya. Ganyan lang ho. At ito pa yung Jesus de Ham, included spouse, wife. At ito pa yung excluding the spouse o wife sa mga sample. Yan ho. Sumunod naman yung rule of exclusion hujub among heirs. Legal process on Muslim law on succession whereby an heir is perfectly excluded due to some causes recognized under Muslim law. An excluded of an heir either perfectly or imperfectly inheriting from the decedent because of the presence of another heir who has better right. Ito po yung sa rules ni Al-Jabari rules. Same lang relationship, the relative nearest in the degree excluded the more removed. The German full relative excluded the consanguine. However, is related to the decedent through any person shall not succeed him while the latter is living, except in the case of mother concurring with her child. Hers who is particular case do not succeed by reason of disqualification on any ground shall not excluded the another. The exclusion by act, dalawa po yan, and the by person. By person, dalawa rin ho yan, by partial exclusion, ito yung exclusion from one share and admission to another. And that by total exclusion, one heir excludes the another. At makikita natin dito sa table na to, share ko lang ho. Itong German sister excluded by male descendants and father, son's daughter, na-exclude siya by son, 2 or more daughter, except in the presence of the heir who can make her residuary heirs. Ganon din yung consanguine sister excluded by father, son, sons, full brother, full sister, 2 or more full sister, except in the presence of the brother who can make a residuary heir. Ganon din yung true grandfather na exclude by father. At ganon din yung true grandmother na exclude ng mother. At uterine brother and uterine sister na exclude by male ascendants, male or female descendants. At dito na lamang ho natatapos yung aking report. Bibigay ko rin tong table na to, residuary heirs, para makita. Ayan ho. At ito pa yung isa na table. Papakita ko na rin dito para ma-review po natin. Ito yung tinutukoy ni sir. At meron pa dito. Ayan. Hindi ko na po papaliwanag yan para ma-review po natin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Hanggang dito na lamang po.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So please upload your presentation, no? Kahit sa GC natin o sa Google Drive natin, no? Particularly yung mga tables so that your classmate can benefit.
Sige po.
Okay, so alhamdulillah, actually very very inclusive yung at saka very yung discussion ni Ustad King, no? So halos yung lahat ng mga importanteng topic talagang na-discuss, particularly dun sa mga example ng mga cases, no? How to apply it, no? How to apply these doctrines. Alhamdulillah. So kung may mga questions o clarifications dun sa presentation, pwede nyong itanong, no? So I hope you really review, no, and master particularly yung computation, no, how to really compute the shares of when settling or dividing, no, yung estate ng dissident. Okay. So mayroon pa bang may pa-present pa ba?
Mauna na sila, chef.
Wala
Mauna
na,
na sila.
ikaw na. Ikaw na. So ikaw na, wala na atang magpa-present, ikaw na lang. So, alhamdulillah. Yala, tafaddal.
Si ano po, si Sister Nabila, baka ano po.
Yeah. So ano kayo? Sinong mauna sa inyong dalawa?
Sila po yung mauna, panghuli na lang po ako. Para, maiksi lang po yung akin, hindi naman mahaba po.
Okay, so meron bang i-report si Miss Abdul Malik?
Huli na din ako.
Magpapahuli sana ako.
Kasi you have been voluntold. I-volunteer ka nila.
Without my consent po.
Tafaddali. So, pwedeng mag-start na. Sinong gusto pang mag-report?
Assalamualaikum, Ustad. Siguro ako na.
Sige, ikaw na. Ay, nagkakahiyaan pa. Sige, tafaddal. Sige.
Maikli lang din naman yung akin, so share ko na din. Share. Wait lang. Share screen. Nakikita po, Ustad?
Yes.
Assalamualaikum, everyone. Here's my report. These are the topics. And sa next slide po, ito yung mga question ko po. Ay, nawawala. Kaka-problema dito, Ustad. Wait lang. Nag-auto out. Ayan. So ito po mga question ko po, who are the residuaries? Heirs and distant kindreds. So na-topic na rin po ata yan, pero ulitin ko lang din po ulit. So, and what are the types of hujub or hajab? And what cases do wala talaga siya, Ustad. Wait lang po, ayusin ko lang. Wait lang po. Off screen ko muna po, Ustad. So medyo may interruption, baka pwedeng may sumala muna ng akin. Ayusin ko lang po.
Okay, so mag-ano muna. Salo muna. Sinong sa una? Yan parang ready na si Miss Abdul Malik.
Sige, ako na po.
Alhamdulillah. Tafaddali.
Ayan, so 3-to-1 approach. Yan po yung tatlong questions na madidiscuss. So a quick rundown din sa table. Kasali na dito excluded pero wala yung basis. So nandito na rin yung residuary, kunwari yung daughters concurring with the son, magiging residuary in another's right na siya. So hindi ko na babanggitin lahat-lahat, medyo mahaba po. So yun, so sa another shares, nandito na rin yung with concurring with daughters or sons pagka germane sisters, magiging RTA na siya or residuary together with another. And then yung mga exclusions. And also yung uterine brother and sister excluded by the descendants, father and true grandfather. And also yung himaria, which is a special case concurring with the full brother and pagkasama niyo yung uterine brother or your brother at pag walang natira na residue, which is yung a residuary kasi yung brother. So in that case, mag-share sila na 1/3. So yeah. As to the first question, yung rules on exclusion, this according to the Al-Jabari rule, the right to succession proceeds in the following order. The first to the order. In the line, the order of priority among heirs is as follows. Descendants are preferred over the ascendants, and ascendants are preferred over collateral relatives. Second, to the degree, in the same line, the relative nearest in degree excludes the more remote, and no right of representation shall take place where an heir predeceased the decedent. Third, to the strength of blood tie, in case where the order and degree are equal, a full blood is to be preferred. So thus, a full brother excludes consanguine brother, but a brother's son will be excluded by a consanguine brother. But a uterine brother or sister is not excluded by a sister or brother germane of the same mother with him. And fourth, whoever is related to the decedent through any person shall not inherit while the latter is living, but uterine brothers and sisters are not excluded by the mother. And fifth, heirs who in particular case do not succeed by reason of disqualification on any ground shall not exclude others. So kanina na-discuss na rin to, who are never excluded: husband, wife, son, daughter, father, and mother. So singit ko lang din because this is also related. Who is a blessed brother? A blessed brother is, or a lucky brother is one by which whose presence the son's daughters or consanguine sisters are made residuary heirs. So without him, the son's daughters or the consanguine sisters take nothing of the inheritance. So if, first scenario is with regard to the son's daughters. So if the decedent's daughter exhausts the 2/3 portion, the son's daughter take nothing except if there exists a son's son in their own degree of relationship or even below their degree, like the son. So usually pag dalawa or more daughters, excluded na yung son's daughter. But with the presence of the son's son, magiging entitled na yung daughters or son's daughters with the residue. So kung ano yung man matitira, paghahatian na lang ng son's daughter and the son's son. The second scenario is with regard to the consanguine sisters. Yung two or more germane sister will exclude the consanguine sisters. So if a consanguine brother is present, then the consanguine sisters will be entitled to the residue. So in relation to the lucky brother, meron namang unlucky. So an unlucky brother is one who by presence deprives the sister of any portion of the inheritance. So in this example, we have the husband, mother, father, daughter, son's daughter, and the son's son. So considering that the denominators, the divisor will be 6. So may exhaust yung portions. Magiging 30 na lahat, which is actually sobra pa. But because of their shares adjusted, so magiging increased root of the problem na siya. Kaso, wala na residue, hindi na pwedeng i-increase or i-adjust with regard to the residuary. So the son's daughter will not be entitled to any inheritance because of the presence of the son's son. So nahila siya. Instead of sharer siya, naging residuary na lang siya. So next is the doctrine of increase. So it is a process whereby when the totality of the shares of all the sharers exceeds the whole inheritance, reducing the value of each share proportionately so as to increase the unit's shares in order to make the whole units, when added up, equal the total net estate and thereby meet all the sharers' share, also known as Mimbaria doctrine, this is a problem without any correction. So the divisor would be considering the 2 and the 3 as the denominator of the shares, 6 na yung magiging divisor. But in this case, sobra siya, naging 7. So we have to adjust it to 7. So another problem is dito yung may correction. So consider the shares, the root of the problem would be 6. So sobra din siya to 9. So we have to adjust according to the sobra ng shares. So we have 9. So dahil 3 and 5 hindi siya kasya sa 2 or 4 pag naghahati-hati sila, we have to find the jus alsiham. So 3 times 5, which is the share of the Victorian brothers and German sisters, we have 15. So times lang yan sa portions or the portions, and then would result to 45, 30, 60. And the next is doctrine of return or RAD. So when the total of the shares do not exhaust the whole estate, the residue shall revert to the heirs who are entitled to it. Essential requisites of the reversion of the residue are the availability of a sharer, non-availability of a residuary heir, and the residue after the distribution of the shares. So the rules are the residue shall return to entirely to the loan sharer if there is only one, but if there are more, to all of them in proportion to their respective share. Second, the decedent's surviving husband or wife, as the case may be, shall not be entitled to any part of the reverted portion as long as there are other sharers who are entitled to return or distant kindred. And third, the number to which extractors may be reduced are 4. So that is 2, 3, 4, and 5. So to go about it, it is done by reducing the fractional shares to a common denominator so as to make it equal to the sum total of the numerators. Kinds of reversion. Nabanggit na rin to kanina. The first kind is a reversion where the surviving heirs are only entitled to one share and none of the spouses inherit with them. So in this case, the inheritance is divided among them per capita. Second, the reversion where the surviving heirs are entitled to different shares and none of the spouses inherit with them. So in this case, the inheritance is divided on the basis of the portions given to the heirs and not on the basis of the number of their heads. Third kind is the reversion where the surviving heirs are only entitled to one share and one of the spouses inherits with them. In this case, the principle is the divisor in the problem must be based on the share of an heir to whom reversion of the residue cannot be made, and then divide the residue to them per capita. The fourth kind is a reversion where the surviving heirs are entitled to different shares and the spouse concurs with them. So problem, yung first kind is very simple. So if a lone heir survives, then siya lahat. So the residue will mapupunta pa rin sa kanya. So to the second kind naman, we have the different shares pero wala yung spouse. So considering the denominators ng mga shares, we have 6 as a root of the problem. Then we have to adjust kasi 3 lang siya. So our root of the problem after reversion is 3. So dito naman the rule is the inheritance is divided on the basis of the portions given to the heirs and not on the basis of the numbers of their heads. Another example is mother concurring with the 5 uterine brothers. So considering also the number of shares, we have 6 and 3. The root of the problem would be 6. So 6 divided by 6, 1. Tapos 6 divide 3 would result to 2. So equals 3. mag-a-adjust siya. But because 2 ang portions ng 5 brothers, we have to get the juice alsiham. So we have 5 because of the numbers of the brothers. So yun, multiply lang to the portions would result to 5 and 10. So equals 15. So that is the root of the problem after correction of the root of the problem after reversion. So ang brothers will have 2 each. So ito naman yung sa third kind. So they only have one kind of share, but with the spouse na. So in this case, we have the husband. So ang share ng husband is 1/4, and then we have also 2 daughters. So 2/3 kasi dalawa sila. And then considering their numbers, their denominators, the root of the problem is 12. And upon dividing all 11 na, magkakaroon ng reversion of course, but because nandyan yung husband, we have to consider the denominator of the husband, kasi yung rule is that the divisor in the problem must be based on the share of an heir to whom reversion of the residue cannot be made, and then divide the residue to them per capita. So it's the husband because he is not titled to the reversion. So yun. So the result would be 1/3. So would result to 4. So another example is husband and 4 daughters. So again, we have to consider na husband yung present, and then 4 ang kanyang denominator. So because we also have the 4 daughters, hindi kakasya, but we have to consider the 4 as a denominator dahil yun ang share na husband. So we have to adjust or get the 4 as our basis, and then we have to have the jus alsiham again kasi ang 3 ay hindi kakasya sa 4 daughters. So times the jus alsiham would result to 4 and 12. So as a check lang, 4 times 4 would result to 16. So ito na yun. So the fourth kind, this is a case of tabayo. So dito we have to have 2 solutions. So first hindi mo na isasali yung wife sa pag-compute. Other books naman, they also compute, inuuna muna yung wife or your husband, inuuna muna yung husband or wife para ma-determine kung kulang talaga yung shares, or you have kung you have to apply the doctrine of reversion or RAD. So in this case, considering the 6 and 2, we have 6 as a root of the problem. So kulang siya, so we have to apply the doctrine of RAD, and then we have the root of the problem 4. So continue na solution is that we include the wife, and her share is 1/8. So 8, 6, and 2 would result to 24 kasi yun ang denominator nila. Yun ang yun ang least multiple, common least multiple. So yun. But since the sum are 19, kulang pa rin siya. But we still have to consider the share of the wife na 8. So ang portion of wife supposed to be is only 1. And then for the mother and the daughter, they have to divide themselves the 7. But in order to get the correct portion, kailangan natin just transpose parang ika-copy mo lang yung na-solve mo 1 to 3, 1 and 3 to the share of the mother in the second solution. So it would result to 7 and 21, tapos yung share ng wife. So yun, as a correction, as a check ulit, 8 times 4 would result to 32. So yun na po yun. So this is a case of tabayo. Another one is the case of tadakol. So in this case, yung wife pa rin, but 2 wives. But kahit 2 wives na siya, we still have to get the 1 portion. So first solution is wala mo na yung wife. So considering the numbers 6, 2, our root of the problem would be 6. So divide lang would result to 5. So kulang pa rin siya. So we have to apply the rod, and then dahil yung 7 at saka 7 sons, daughters, and two true grandmothers would not sufficient for the portions 1 and 1. We have to have our juice LCM. So i-multiply lang natin yung 7 and 2 to get the 14, and then multiply 14 to the portions would result to 14 for another 14, and then 42. So it is a corrected root of the problem after reversion. So and the second solution would supposed to involve the wife's share na. So we have to have the 1/8 and the 8 as our basis. So considering 8, 6, and 2, root of the problem would be 24. So meron pa ring kulang. So applying 8 again as the share of the wife, pero because we have seven sons, daughters, and 2 true grandmothers, di pa rin sa kanila kakasya yung 7. But we have to again transpose lang din, kopyahin yung corrected portions ng first solution, and then our corrected root of the problem naman para sa share ng wife. So it would result to 70, 98, 98, and then 294. So check is 560. So ayan. Our highlights. Yung highlights po dito, napansin ko lang is this is under the doctrine of Rad with when the problem concurs with the wife or the husband. So of course, only the denominator 4 or 8 can be the basis, since yun yung share ng husband and wife. Another highlight naman is ito parang basic lang. It is a quick tip that when you see if you see some or one of these heirs, the male descendants, male ascendants, full blood or consanguine brothers, full blood or consanguine paternal uncles, and their descendants, automatically the doctrine of Rad will not apply, kasi their absence is the very reason why we have to revert or apply the doctrine of reversion. So yun, quick tip lang yun. But yun, so as a VIP, this applies to a uterine brother and sister. So sa Quran, if a man or woman whose inheritance is in question has left neither ascendants nor descendants, but has left a brother or a sister, each one of the two gets a sixth, but if more than 2, they share in a third. So that means that uterine brother and sister shall divide equally their allotted share among themselves. And in this particular case, the general rule for a male twice the share of a female shall not apply in view of this verse in the Quran. So yun lang po. That concludes my report po. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Shukran jazil. Jazakumullah khairan. So I hope clear yun, no? At maganda may additional na explanation, particularly doon sa mga computation. Okay, so we'll go next.
Kung wala na prof, ako na. Kung meron pa, sila na muna.
تفضل يا
Allah
محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. So ito yung report ko. So feeling ko summary lang ito ng mga ni-report ng mga classmates ko. So mag-start ako sa rules governing shares. So babalik ulit dun sa table. Pero yung table na nandito, nandito na yung mga pangyayari kung kailan mag-i-exclude yung mga years, kung kailan magkakaroon ng exclusion ng mga years, at ano yung makaka-apekto dito. So firstly is the husband. So he will take 1/4. So hindi siya kasama dun sa exclusion. So in case na meron siyang mga anak, the share will decrease or increase into, the share will be 1/2 kung wala siyang mga anak. Kung meron siyang mga anak, the share will decrease to 1/4. So next is wife. So wife also takes 1/8. Pag may 1/4 siya pag nagkakaroon ng child. The father also takes 1/6. So yung tatlo na ito hindi sila kasama sa exclusion. Yung wife, father, husband. And number 4 is the grandfather. The grandfather will take share of 1/6 kung mag-isa lang siya. The father entirely excluded by the father near true grandfather. So the next is mother. Mother will take 1/6. So hindi rin siya kasama dun sa sa exclusion. So naapektuhan lang yung sharing niya kapag mayroon anak, it will decrease to 1/6. Kapag naman has no children and no brothers or sisters, she will take 1/3 of the share. And in case the deceased has no children and has one brother or one sister, she will take also 1/3. And also in the case of the deceased has no children and has 2 or more siblings, she will take 1/6 of the share. Number 6 is grandmother, maternal and paternal grandmother. So she will take 1/6 also. Also, kung marami sila mag-share, she will take also 1/6. So na-exclude lang siya when there's a mother, near maternal or paternal grandmother, and also mother near maternal grandfather, father near true grandfather. So hindi nagbabago yung share niya, ganun lang. So number 7 is a daughter. She will take 1/2. Yun po yung talaga yung share niya. So hindi siya kasama dun sa entirely excluded na year. So son's daughter will take 1/2. Share when 2 or more collectively, she will take 2/3. She will take 2/3. And entirely excluded siya kapag mayroong son, more than one daughter, higher son's son, more than one higher son's daughter. So affected siya when it comes to existence of only one daughter. So she will take the share will reduce into 1 and 2. Ito yung 1 and 2, the only one higher sons and daughter. So when it comes to equal sons and son, so naapektuhan din yung share niya. So she will be made residual by number 3. Ito yung pag existing son. So full sister will take 1/2 and 2/3 kapag meron siyang kahati. So entirely excluded siya kapag existed yung son. Son, father through grandfather. Affected by existence of full brother. So lalabas ulit yung original na share. So consanguine sister will take 1/2. Same share lang sila ng full sister. Kapag exist naman yung son, father through grandfather, full brother, more than one full sister, na apektuhan o na-exclude siya. So naapektuhan naman yung share niya in existence of one only full sister at sa kapag existence of consanguine brother. So paano naapektuhan yung share niya? Dito sa table, sinasabi na the share will reduce to 1/6. So uterine brother, may 1/6 na share. Kapag mayroon siyang kasama, it will reduce to 1/3. So entirely excluded kapag existed yung child of son. So ganun lang yung yung share nila. So we'll move to al-hujub o al-hujub. Sheikh, anong tama? Hujub o al-hujub jama? Ano po yung tamang pronunciation sa mufrad po?
Yeah, hajab yun ang
Al-hajab.
singular, no? Hajab tapos hujub yan yung
Plural. So exclusion also means the exclusion of some relatives from inheritance. So in Article 123 of PD 1083, exclusion among heirs, the exclusion of heirs from the inheritance shall be governed by the following rules. In the same line, letter A, in the same line, the relative nearest in degree excludes the more remote. So letter B, full blood relatives exclude the consanguine and the uterine. Letter C, whoever is related to the deceased or dissident through any person shall not inherit while the latter is living, except in the case of mother concurring with her children. So letter D, heirs who in a particular case do not succeed by reason of disqualification on any ground shall not exclude others. So kinds of exclusion from inheritance, meron siyang dalawang klase. Unang klase is hujub al-hirman, exclusion from the actual inheritance itself, such as exclusion of grandfather by the father. So ang halimbawa nito, pag existed yung father, yung grandfather hindi siya magmamana, ang tawag doon ay hujub al-hirman. Ang pangalawa ay hujub al-nuqsan, prevention from part of the inheritance, such as the deduction of husband share by child from half to 1/4. So ang excluded from hujub, ito yung husband, wife, son, daughter, father, and mother. Ito yung pinaka-close na relatives ng deceased. Meaning of doctrine of increase, al-aun, the process whereby when the totality of shares of all the shares ashabul furud exceeds the whole inheritance, reducing the value of each share proportionately so as to increase the units shares in order to make the whole units when added up equal the total net estate and thereby meet the shares share. Method of application. If the root of the problem is 6, it may be increased to 7, 8, 9, and 10. Second, if the root of the problem is 12, it may be increased to 13, 15, and 17. Number 3, if the root of the problem is 24, it may be increased to 27. Example of 6 to 7, a wife died leaving as heirs her husband and 2 full sisters. The prescribed fractional share of the husband is 1/2 and the 2 sisters is 2/3. The root of the problem is number 6. So this will go like this: 2 times 3 equals to 6. So 6 divided by 2 equals to 3 share of the husband. 2/3 of 6 is 4. 4 divided by 2 equals to 2, the share of 2 full sister. And 3 plus 4 equals to 7, total of shares, which is excess by 1. So hindi siya sumakto. So the doctrine of increase, in order therefore to make the totality of the shares equal the whole inheritance, we increase the root of the problem from 6 to 7. So ganito yung nangyayari. So from 6 siya, it move on to 7. So 3/6 is reduced to 3/7 share of the husband. And 4/6 is reduced to 4/7 share of 2 full sisters. So nagiging balance na siya. So dinadagdagan lang para magkasya yung magkasya yung yaman na hahatiin. Doctrine of Arad. Arad is a doctrine that when the total of shares does not exhaust the whole estate, the residue shall revert to heirs who are entitled to it. So dito there are 8 heirs entitled to return. Isang lalaki at 7 babae. First is uterine brother. Second is the mother, the grandmother, daughter, son's daughter, full sister, consanguine sister, uterine sister, excluded husband and wife. So tanong ko lang siya dito sa part na ito, bakit siya excluded yung husband and wife given the fact na sila yung pinakamalapit po na pinakamalapit na kamag-anak ng namatay. Parang hindi po ako narinig siya. Continue po ako.
Yes, yes. Ano yan?
Tanong ko lang po, bakit excluded yung husband and wife sa part na ito?
Yes, yes.
Opo, kasi sila yung
Sa
pinakamalapit
doctrine of fraud,
na ano po.
sa doctrine of fraud kasi, reversion. So once na makuha na ng husband or wife ang kanilang share, naputol ng kanilang connection. Kasi ang connection nila sa ITSIS ay by marriage, a final relationship. So once na makuha na nila yung share nila, namatay, for example, namatay si husband. So once na makuha na ng wife ang kanyang share, tapos na ang kanilang yung hak niya dun sa earth, dun sa estate ng namatay niyang husband. Ganon din sa husband. Kung namatay ang wife niya, once na makuha na niya yung share niya, ay tapos na yung hak niya, dun sa share niya. So dun sa estate ng wife niya. So hindi sila included doon sa makaka-receive ng kung may extra, may surplus, may sobra.
Kasi dahil ba Prof, dahil yung relationship nila is through marriage lamang?
Yes.
Hindi through bloodline. Opo. According to Imam Shafi, the excess in estate shall go to public treasury. So 2 reflections. What was the reason or wisdom behind? So nasagot na po, Prof, yung ito pa. Pangalawa po, the importance of ijma in Islamic law can be seen in our example. So yung aul po, siya yung asas ng pag-solve ng problema ay nagmula sa ijma. So VIP point, the doctrine of Rad in favor of the female Muslims rather than male contradict to the claim that Muslim law abuses women when it comes to Islamic law po. So yun lang po. Barakallahu fikum. Jazakallahu khair.
Jazakallahu khair. So alhamdulillah. Hopefully mas lalo pang naliwanagan kayo, no? But just a comment, no? Doon sa table, I think mas maganda mag-refer kayo doon sa presentation ni King, no, at saka ni Nabila. I-review nyo yung mga tables nyo, but so far, base dun sa pinakita, pinaka-accurate yung table ni King at saka ni Nabila.
Sige
So,
po,
ano
Uncle
nyo yan?
Rafi.
Memorize nyo yung mga tables. No? Importante yan. Particularly yung mga conditions when are they going to inherit their particular shares and who excludes who. Okay, so wala na bang ibang magre-report? So any questions or clarification dun sa mga topics natin? I think yung first three, very naman kasi ilang beses na natin na-tackle yun, no? Yung sino bang ashabul furud, sino ang ashabul mirath, at sino ba yung dawul arham. So I hope klaro na sa inyo yun. No? When it comes to the settlement of estate, no, and distribution of shares, always ang priority ay ang ashabul furud. These are the heirs with fixed shares. Yan ang palaging tatandaan natin. So kung anong matira, tsaka lang mapupunta doon sa ashabul mirath o yung sinasabi natin na asaba, yung mga residuary heirs. Of course, there are some instances na ang residuary heirs ay nagmamana kasabay ng isang may fixed share, no, ng isang sharer, ng isang kasama sa ashabul furud. No? So yun yung instance, for example, son and daughter. So mag-inherit sila together with the other sharers. At also remember yung 5 na hindi na-exclude. No? So at saka yung ano ba yung pinaka-strongest sa kanila na nag-exclude ng marami. So kung titingnan natin ang pinaka malakas, no, kung titingnan natin yung Al-Jabari rule, no, mauna palagi ang descendant. Kaya sila ang may pinakamaraming na-exclude. Once na merong son, ang daming na-exclude. Na-exclude niya ang father niya, grandfather rather, kasi father nang namatay, no? So na-exclude ng son ang father sa kanyang right to residue. No? Kasi ang father, residuary heir din yan. Kasama rin dyan sa ashabul mirath, sa asaba. So once merong son, and excluded na lahat. Tapos ang collaterals, lahat excluded. So pag may son, no, ganun din. Tapos sunod na pinakamalakas yung sa ascendants, particularly ang male. No? Ang female ascendant, no, hindi siya, or rather female descendant, hindi siya nakaka-exclude ng hindi niya na-exclude totally o yung ascendant, no? Hindi kasi sabi nga natin, descendants ay mas malakas, no? Descendants excludes the ascendants. O descendants is preferred over the ascendants. Pero hindi ibig sabihin na ito ay na-exclude nila ang ascendants. At mapapansin din natin when it comes to daughter and son, mas mahina ang exclusion na effect ng daughter kaysa sa son. No? Kung walang son, ang merong daughter, hindi niya ma-exclude ang father sa kanyang right to residue, no? As a residuary heir. So kung merong ang heirs ay merong tatay, nanay, tapos anak na babae, daughter. So ang tatay magiging 1/6 plus residue. No? Pag nakuha na niya yung share niya at may natitira pa sa mga sa estate, lahat ng matitira ay babalik sa kanya. So ang tatay, ang father ay sharer, at the same time ay residuary heir din siya. Then ang mga residues, no, may tatlong klase ng residuary heirs. Mayroon tayong sa asaba, binafsihi, no, residuary in their own right. Then ito yung mga male ascendants and descendants collaterals. Lahat ng male agnates, no, mga kamag-anak na lalaki. Purely male, no, wala ang pagitan nila at yung connection nila mula sa decedent. Hindi naputol, no, at hindi napagitan ng babae. na kamag-anak. Then, ang sunod ay yung residuary together with another, or rather, residuary in another's right. Yun ang pangalawa, yung binigyan natin na example, son and daughter, brother and sister. So yan, residuary in another's right sila. No? Then, residuary together with another, puro babae yun. No? Ang example nun ay full blood sister o sister at saka daughter. So, makukuha ng daughter yung share niya, then yung matitira sa sister. Ganon din sa consanguine sister kung walang full sister. So, yun yung mga residuary heirs. Ang dhawul arham naman, distant kindred, sila yung mga walang hindi kasama sa ashabul mirath at saka hindi sila kasama sa ashabul furud. Wala silang fixed share at hindi rin sila residuary heirs. So, makakapagmana lang sila kung wala yung dalawa, wala yung ashabul furud, wala rin yung ashabul mirath. Then ang kanilang magiging portion, according to the majority of scholars, ay kung anong supposed share ng kanilang connection doon sa dissident. No? So kung connection nila doon sa dissident, no, yung dhawul arham ay through daughter. So yung share ng daughter, yun ang makukuha nila. So ganun ang sa dhawul arham. Anyway, may further discussion din ata dyan sa along the way natin yung pag-compute ng kanilang mga computation ng distribution of the estate o settlement of the estate. Then yung topic naman sa hajab, no, yung hujub, yung exclusion. So tatandaan natin magkaiba ang exclusion at saka disqualification. Yung disqualification, totally disqualified siya, at yung pagiging disqualified niya, although can be also called as exclusion kasi excluded nga siya doon sa inheritance. So, yung exclusion yung disqualification, once you are disqualified, yung power mo to exclude others ay mawawala. For example, disqualified ang son. Ang son kasi ang son ay hindi siya hindi siya Muslim. Example. So, kahit nandyan siya, hindi niya ma-exclude ang mga collaterals, for example. So kung ang namatay ay may naiwan na ang naiwan ay mga kapatid nung namatay, so hindi sila ma-exclude dahil disqualified yung son. No? Magkaibang disqualification at saka exclusion. Then, ang exclusion, mayroon dalawang uri. Ito yung sinasabi natin na total exclusion at saka partial exclusion. Al-hujub al-herman at saka nuksan. Total exclusion and partial exclusion. Yung total exclusion, totally excluded na talaga siya. Kung katulad ng mga collaterals, pag mayroong son, lahat ng brothers and sisters, excluded na sila. So ang partial exclusion naman, from a bigger share, nagiging smaller share ang makukuha niya. Example, yung mother, pag walang mga descendants, ang share ng mother ay 1/3. Pero once na merong mga brothers and sisters, uterine man yan o full o consanguine, makaka-apekto to sa share ng mother. So pag umabot ng 2 pataas, ay magiging 1/6 na lang ang mana ng mother. No? So kahit excluded na sila kasi ang pwedeng maka-exclude sa mga collaterals, father. No? Ang father, pwede niya ma-exclude ang mga collaterals. So pag na-exclude nila, kahit excluded na sila, yung power pa rin nila to partially exclude the mother from a bigger share, magiging lesser share ang makukuha ng mother, ay it will still be in effect. No? Yun ang natin. So tatandaan sa hajab again, yung aljabari rule, no? Yung una yung order, no? Yung descendants over the ascendants and ascendants over the collaterals. Then yung degree, no? Kung ano yung mas malapit, yung nearer over the more remote. So kung pares kayong nasa ascendant line o descendant line, na yung mas malapit doon sa descendant, ma-exclude niya yung mas malayo. Then ano pa ba yung susunod na yung blood types, no, yung ano niya, yung strength, yung kuwa. So yung full blood ay ma-exclude niya ang consanguine. Yung kapatid sa nanay at tatay ay ma-exclude niya yung kapatid lang sa tatay. Okay, so that's the Al-Jabari rule. Always ano diyan, i-review niyan at i-master nyo. Very important. Then yung sa summary naman sa owl, ang ibig sabihin ng owl, lalaki yung denominator, lalaki yung aslul mas'ala, pero proportionately liliit yung shares ng bawat isa. So it's very easy to compute kasi kung ma-compute mo at yung numerator mo mas malaki kaysa sa denominator, you just adapt yung numerator, no? Yun ang magiging bago mong aslul mas'ala, yung root of the problem mo. So very easy, no? So automatic yun. So same pa rin yung mga ano nila, portion nila, share. Na instead yung net estate ay i-divide mo sa, for example, 24, i-divide mo na lang siya sa 27. So ang effect nito, proportionately bawat share ng ears ay liliit. Okay. Then at usually, no, sa dalawang situation na to, doctrine na to, sa owl at saka sa rod, walang mga residuary ears diyan. Walang residuary ears. Kasi pag natatanggal nila sila actually, no, na wala nang natitira. Then yung with a few exemptions, no, katulad dun sa kay Maria. Then another, yung sa rod, doctrine of rod, yung reversion. So again, ang importante sa reversion, tandaan natin na yung spouses, no, yung husband or wives ay hindi sila eligible for rod, for reversion. Once they got their share, tanggal na sila doon sa mga natitira kung may matira. Then ang computation, ito lang medyo complicated, no? If isa lang ang ear, madali lang kasi parang halos lahat sa kanya naman. So parang pares lang din ang gagawin mo. Kung wala yung spouses, walang husband or wife, ang gagawin mo lang ay yung numerator mo, ay yun ang gagawin mong denominator. Like what you did or like what we do in the owl. No? So instead, yun ang problema lang, ang pagkakaiba lang, yung sa owl ay mas lumaki, mas malaki yung numerator kaysa sa denominator. So that's why you increase the denominator. Sa rod naman, mas maliit yung numerator kaysa doon sa denominator. So ang gagawin mo, you use the numerator as your denominator. So anong magiging effect nito? So liliit yung aslul mas'ala, if ang effect niya mas lalaki yung shares ng bawat ears proportionately. So always ang term natin proportionately, no, proportionately, no. So kung gaano kalaki o kaliit ang share nila, ganun din ang madadagdag o mababawas sa kanilang shares. Then ang siguro mahirap lang doon, hindi na actually mahirap, no. Yung pag may mga spouse, husband or wife, ang siguro pinakamadaling solution dan is to give the share to them. Then kung anong matitira, yun na ang hati-hatiin mo doon sa mga entitled or eligible to the reversion. So maraming binigay na examples yung kay King at saka kay Nabila, no? So you just refer to that. Please don't forget to upload your PowerPoint presentation for the benefit of your classmates. Okay, so I hope that's clear, and please do prepare for our short quiz or exam sa the week after, no? Hindi itong next coming week, sa susunod pa. So what date is that? Let me just double check para malagay nyo na sa ano nyo. So that's November 5. Hindi naman nata holiday November 5. So November 5 inshallah. Mayroon tayong at ang may ano doon, no? Aside from theoretical, talagang may case, no? Mag-distribute kayo ng properties ng estate. Okay. Any questions or clarification? May tanong ba tayo? So kung walang tanong, alhamdulillah, no? Ang ano lang yung Again, wag niyo kakalimutan yung review of understanding nyo. Ito, I have already uploaded it. Assignment number 7, and also preparation for your yung next na ano natin, next meeting na mga topics. Okay, so kung wala nang tanong, we will end our lesson here. نكتفي بهذا القدر. فإن شاء الله نلتقي في الأسبوع القادم. والحمد لله. الحمد لله. I think we have discussed a lot, and although medyo confusing, ano lang, mag-practice lang. Okay, at magbasa at mag-review. So kung wala nang tanong, see you next meeting. See you next meeting.
See you,
So
sir.
مع السلامة إلى اللقاء في أمان الله. So السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Waalaikum salam wa barakatuh.
Hi, classmates.
Salam.
Bye-bye.
Hello.